Okay, the second dream is kind of like this. There's a road and there's a bridge that's been washed out. There's a big cliff going down into a river. And these cars starting to go down the river, and I have to stop the cars. And I try to get in front of the cars and say, stop, stop. I'm beside the cars, and they just go around me. They keep going around me, and they crash in the river. And they crash in the river again and again. And I say, you can't hear me. You gotta stop. And they keep going down in the river, and they keep going down in the river. And finally, I see this big school bus filled with children. And I've got to stop them. I step right in front of the bus. Stop! But in my dream, I always go beside, and the bus crashes down into the river. And both those two dreams kind of remind me of this. Like we are in recovery. We have our loved ones telling us, you're going to die. You got to stop. You got to stop what you're doing. Stop drugging. Stop banging. But we keep going. We keep going. And it's like they're screaming at us out of love, but it's silent to us. And that reminds me finally of a story that goes with it. This is a true story. Happened about 100 years ago. Cars were starting to come out, and there was this guy who had a lantern by this drawbridge. And his job was to light the lantern when it was foggy and dark when the drawbridge was up. And he did this for years and years. One day he was drunk, very drunk. So he got up to the drawbridge, sat at his post. Finally the bridge went up, took his lantern to stop the cars in the street, and he'd sit there and wave the lantern. And the first car kept going, said, whoa! And the car went right past into the river. Another car came by. He waved the lantern again. Whoa, stop! The car went by, went into the river. Meanwhile, the guy at the drawbridge got a little suspicious, and he put the bridge back down, and then he walked to the man. He looked at the man and said, what the heck's wrong with you? The lantern wasn't even lit. Sometimes in our recovery, we go through the motions, and that's all we do. Our heart isn't in it, our soul isn't in it. We just go through the motions, and we say the right things, we do the right things, but we really don't feel it. What's that light? That light in your lantern is the three things it takes to stay clean. You got to want it bad enough. If you don't want it bad enough, it ain't going to happen. You got to have support. People there that are going to support you through this. And the third part, and the most important, is spirituality. And we're talking about God. God has to be in that light too. If you have all three, you got a shining light. And you're not sitting there waving your arms, and you're not just going through the motions, but you're actually doing it. Is your lantern lit?